Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Inspire Before We Expire show. I am your host, Terrell Sumter. Guys, I'm very grateful, thankful, and graceful to be here yet another day that's never a promise. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been some time. I took some time away, guys. And I want you all to know that we're now here, and I'm still grateful to be here and thankful to be here and graceful to be here with you today. So you know how I start these interviews off. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now I want you to open. I know there's been a lot going on around today's society, guys. And I want you all to really take some time to look at whoever's next to you and tell them you matter. Guys, if you haven't already, I want you to subscribe to the Inspire Before We Expire show. Stay updated with our shows, our interviews, and exciting guests that we have coming on. And I want to thank you most importantly for your support. Without your support, who knows where we would be, right? So ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take too much of your time, man, because I'm beyond excited for this one right here, man. We're back. Yes, indeed. Fourth quarter. Yes. Guys, this gentleman here, he's a 20-year-old self-made millionaire. He is the producer of the new Age Millionaires Show, a web TV series about the lavish lifestyle of the young and successful. His mentors once told him, you can be the next Jeff Bezos. And also told him, you're in the top 99,000.99999. Yep. He was running 3 businesses at the age of 21 and a group of 9 at 24. He is best known for creating SPXMAC, the world's largest consulting firm for e-commerce brands, with over 10,000 clients in 116 countries. Guys, I want to introduce you to my guy, man, coming out of Greece, Mr. Damian Prosalendis. Damian, welcome, man. Glad to have you, bro.
Thank you, Terrell. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm looking forward to our discussion here. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here with you, man.
Absolutely. So, Dame, man, if you could just really give us a background of you, man, of where your journey first started, that'd be awesome.
All right. So I grew up in Greece. I'm 24 years old right now. And about the time I was 18, I got access to chemical engineering here in Greece because I studied for the Pan-Hellenic exams. The school systems between the United States and Greece have some differences. So for context, let me explain how it works here. Basically, you have to study very hard in high school in order to score high grades at the Pan-Hellenic exams. And then based on those grades, you gain a sponsorship to study in the university. There are paid colleges, but you cannot get, for example, to study medicine or law in a paid college. That does not exist here. So it all depends on the grades that you score on the Pan-Hellenic exams. I studied very hard in high school and got access to study chemical engineering. And I did that for 1.5 years before I dropped out. And I basically dropped out because back in 2015, 5 years after the financial crisis, the situation in Greece had not improved. My father was unemployed. My mother was just a civil servant. They couldn't make ends meet. I was in a different city studying university, and they also had to take care of my brother. And with one salary of 800 euros a month, that was not possible. My grandparents had to chime in from their pensions. My uncle had to help us financially as well. And basically it was a very dire financial situation where I had to sleep on a mattress I picked up from the trash in a little apartment that was unfurnished. I had to live there for several months before I moved out because I wasn't able to pay rent. And then I went to a dorm room that the university gave to the poorest students. And I lived there for the rest of my studies until I started my first business, and then things started improving in my life.
Right. Man, it seemed like you've been through a lot, man. Your family went through a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what makes the journey, man, honestly. That's why we get to share it today, right? So your experience really seeing your family go through what they was going through, financial hardships, and also you saying that you actually picked up the mattress from the trash can outside, correct?
Yeah. It was actually not outside my apartment. It was like 2 kilometers away. I was walking back home from the university, from the
Right.
university's dining hall. I would go there to eat every single day because they provide us with free food. And then on the way back, I spotted a mattress next to a trash can, and I was like, I think if I carry that one back home and clean it up, maybe it would be better than sleeping on the hardwood floor. So I walked with it 2 kilometers back to my home with a mattress on my back, carried it up to the 7th floor because I couldn't fit in the small elevator, and then spent about 2 hours to sanitize it. And I bet it wasn't safe to sleep on that thing. But anyway, I had no other option.
Indeed. Tell us about like what was that experience like for you, man? Like what was really like, during those times you had to really sleep on that mattress.
Uh,
What was that experience like for you?
it was embarrassing and kind of humiliating. And I don't think anybody knew how I got that mattress in there. It was only years later that it actually became something that was a story worth telling, because at the time it just felt very, um, very disadvantaged, and I just blamed my parents and my country for all the misfortunes that I was experiencing. And that was one of those moments that I just didn't want to share with anyone. So it was very embarrassing.
Right. Indeed. Indeed. And
But
how
now
did
I'm happy with it now. I'm
yeah,
happy that it happened actually.
absolutely. So how did you get from sleeping on the mattress to now being in penthouse suites, man? Sky views and everything of that nature. How did you get to where you at now today?
So the way I believe things work in life is like a domino. So you have the whole game set up, and then you push a piece, and then that falls, and then it pushes the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then you have like a chain effect. One action leads to another, and then you have the end result, which could be whatever, depending on the setup of the game. And if you see like those very large domino games that they make YouTube videos for example, they push a domino piece on the 2nd floor of a building, and then you see a whole array of 300 pieces dropping, and then pushing a ball, and then the ball jumps onto a hoop, and then something else happens, and it's like just a huge show, and it all starts out of that little domino piece. So similarly, the way I started was like the first piece was all that financial adversity I was experiencing, and that pushed me to seek some answers and to find a way to get out of it and experience something different. And I tried a lot of different things in the beginning. Didn't know what to do. I had no guidance, so my initial idea was to find some job and try to make ends meet, and basically persevere until I finished my studies so that I could leverage my degree in order to find a better job. So I would do all jobs like distributing flyers on the street, working as a waiter at taverns. I even considered working as a lifeguard or a barman for a while, but none of these would have any drastic immediate effect on my life. I mean, it would just, the situation would continue for years and years, and then even after getting my degree, there was really no guarantee that the situation would get better. So I had to find something that was more efficient and more and faster, like in a sense that not it would be something that will happen in a weekend, but something that will have how to put it. I believe in efficiency and like doing things, doing the minimum to get the maximum result. For example, when you go to the gym, you can get the same body by working out 3 days a week and the same body by working 5 days a week. But working 3 days a week to get the same result as 5 is just more efficient. And that's kind of how I discovered digital business and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I stumbled upon a website that talked about benefits of working online from your laptop and having your own digital business. And the guy who wrote the website was basically saying that he was making $10,000 a month by blogging and doing affiliate marketing and selling his own products online. And that was a big epiphany for me, because up until that point, I considered being a doctor and making perhaps $4,000 a month, which is very good for Greek standards. Something that would be life-changing for me and life-changing for anyone. And here is a guy who's just traveling around the world and making so much money from his laptop, and he doesn't even have a degree. And it was just, my mind was blown. How is that even possible? Yeah. And it's like one of those stories you read and you don't know if it's true, if it's maybe somebody trying to take money out of you, if he's trying to scam you in some way, put you in some pyramid marketing scheme. And yeah, basically, as I investigated the whole situation, I realized there was a whole world of internet entrepreneurs who were doing all those things, starting internet businesses and changing not only their lives, but the lives of others. And the more I kept digging and trying to find information about that world, the more it drew me in. And yeah, that's how I discovered it.
Right, right. Absolutely, man. So I see, so what was that first entrepreneurial, like what was that first entrepreneurial position for you? Like what led you from sleeping in a mattress to now like getting into entrepreneurship? So, tell us about that.
You mean who was the first person, or what was like the first business that I tried?
Yeah, the first yes. Yeah, my apologies for that. The first business, so your first entrepreneurial business.
All right. So initially, I saw that guy doing blogging and affiliate marketing, and I thought, right, I don't know of anything else. Maybe I should try this. And so I started my own website, darrenconqueror.com, and I tried to write about self-improvement, fitness, a little bit digital business, and basically things that I was learning about and topics I was interested and passionate about. And I had the impression that I would be able to make money out of that thing. But the problem was that I had a website and nobody knew about it. I had no traffic and I had no idea how to promote it. But I kept writing those articles for weeks, and the weeks turned into months and nothing was happening. And everybody in my environment was like, why are you wasting all your time reading those websites and writing articles? Nothing is working. I mean, you're just wasting your time. You should focus on your studies. And do you know anybody who's made money online? And I was like, I know this guy. But they were like, do you really know him? Do you know him in person? Have you ever met him? Yeah. I was like, no, I haven't, but he's doing it. And basically everybody was cynical and hesitant to believe that it was possible. And my own lack of results basically was a testament that they were right at that point. And
so I don't mean to cut you off, but this website here was Fever, right? Fever was the certain website that you was operating off of at this time?
That happened a little bit later.
Okay.
I had my own website, darrenconqueror.com. I was writing articles on there.
Okay.
But I couldn't get any traffic. So I started researching ways about how to promote my website and how to bring traffic into it, how to get readers. And one thing led to another, and somehow I stumbled upon information about how you can make money freelancing on Fiverr. And I was like, okay, my website isn't working. Maybe I should try that Fiverr thing. I don't know what it is, but let's see. So I registered on Fiverr with a weird name, SPXMAC, that makes no sense. And I'm like, let's see what's going on here. And I start selling my first services. And the only thing I knew, the only skill I had was writing articles with English as my second language. So I was not a particularly skilled or talented person, but it was the only thing I had. So there was nothing else. So I'm trying to sell that and nobody's buying. And I'm like, all right, the website isn't working. This Fiverr thing isn't working. Maybe I should go back to uni. And at the same time, I was trying to combine those things together. So I would go to the university in the morning, and then at 2 p.m. after all my classes, I would go to the library and work on all those, try to make money online. But then I realized, then actually I got a job on top of all that, on top of my studies and on top of the internet business that I was trying to figure out how to make work. I got a job because it was around June 2015, and I wanted to go on vacation because all of my friends would go and I didn't want to be left behind. It was my first year in university and I wanted to go somewhere, even if it was for just a weekend, but I had no money and I knew my parents couldn't pay for it. So I enrolled on a class to teach me how to become a bartender. And on top of everything else, I have to go to the bartending classes in the afternoon. And then after 2 weeks that I finished that short course on bartending, I found a job as a bartender. And I had to combine school, bartending, and the online thing, which wasn't working. And I was about to give up on it. So on my first day at that job as a bartender, I made a mistake while preparing a coffee for somebody, for a client, and basically the boss fired me on the very same day. And he was like, you don't know what you're doing, you're clearly inexperienced, I'm sorry, you cannot work here. And boom, you're gone. And I lose that job, and I was very disappointed because I knew I wasn't going on vacation that summer. So I go back home that night and I realized that the reason nothing in my life was working, and bartending didn't work, the online businesses didn't work, it was because I didn't take any of those things seriously. I was just trying to do everything at the same time. And I basically diverted my energy and focus into 100 different things. And I didn't focus on really mastering one of them. So I suddenly stopped going to university, and I'm like, okay, I have to make those online businesses work, or I'm gonna end up homeless. I'm gonna end up, I don't know, I'm gonna go back to my parents and live with them. I don't know. I stopped going to university and I just stay at home all day in the summer, working on that blog, and started doing Fiverr again. And the only reason that I didn't make any of those things work in the first place was that I wasn't serious about them. I had just hopped on a Fiverr with a weird name and set up a profile that wasn't professional and didn't give anybody a professional impression that would make them want to hire me. And I realized that the reason I wasn't getting any results was that I wasn't doing it like a professional would. So as
you got fired, right? What led you to push harder to saying that, man, I'm not gonna keep juggling, but I'm gonna focus on that one thing, and I'm gonna make it big?
It was just that realization that I was spreading myself too thin amongst many different things, and I had to just pick one of them and go all in at it. It's like when the Spaniards went to South America to conquer it, and the general decided to burn the ships, and they were like, we have no way to go back home. It's either we kill all those Aztecs and we conquer their civilizations, or we die here. So you have only those two options. And for me, it was similar. I stopped going to university, and missing those classes meant that I would lose the entire year because I wouldn't. If I missed a few classes at the end of the year, the final 2 months, I was not gonna be able to take the summer exams, and therefore the whole year would be lost, and I would have to repeat it. And So online business was my only option, because if I went back home that summer and I told my parents I couldn't pass those exams, they would be like, okay, so why are we paying for you to live in another city? Are you just taking our money, just go out and have fun? Which wasn't the case, but you know what I mean? They would be disappointed that I wasted that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I had only one option. I had to make online business work. And basically for a month or so, it was June 2015, I spent all day and night trying to get orders on Fiverr. And one day I managed to make my first $30 in a day. I got 3 orders out of nowhere. And it was only because I fixed my presentation. It was, I sat down and made like a video to promote my service, create samples to show them how I wrote my articles, tried to find a few clients, did them free work to get a couple of reviews to look more credible on the website. And basically that led to getting my first 3 orders and making $30 in a day. And that was the first money I've ever made online.
Wow.
And that's where I knew that if I kept repeating that, I would get the results that I was seeking, that it was possible to actually make money doing it.
Mm-hmm. Man, it may not be much to many, but during that moment, that was much for you, because you looked at it as you got fired from this job. You dropped out of school. So you still seeing that, man, I still got to push forward because I want to make it big somehow, some way. So tell us about the process of growing that platform while doing Fiverr, man, or so like that, and really helping you get to where you got to today. You know, just tell us how that process of the growth and everything of that nature from already going through what you went through.
All right. So after I made my first $30 on Fiverr, I knew that all I had to do was just keep doing that every day, right? And I would make 1,000 a month. It wasn't a big amount of money, but for me back then, I had an allowance from my parents. They would give me a stipend of $200, and that was all the money I had to get by with every single month. So 5xing that was huge for me. Making 1,000, it was more than my mother was making, and especially if I could make it from my laptop working from home. So I had that positive affirmation, that validation that, okay, this thing works. It's not a scam. It's not something imaginary. It actually can make you money. And I basically delivered the work to those 3 clients. They gave me glowing reviews. I made sure that they had an awesome experience from the beginning to the end. I followed up with them to make sure that their articles were published and everything was right. And they gave me referrals and they brought me more clients. And then Fiverr search engine, what it does is when it sees that you're getting some orders in and those orders are getting reviewed positively, you get extra exposure on the website. So for example, when somebody searches for article writing on the platform, the website pulls up relevant results and it ranks them based on various factors. Reviews are one factor, recent number of orders is another one, who's getting the most orders, who's getting reviewed negatively, who's getting the most page views, whose profile image is getting clicked the most. All those factors matter for where you rank on the site. And because I was ranking very high for all those factors, I would get more traffic from Fiverr and more people would see my services. And it was basically like rolling like a snowball. It kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I started getting more reviews. And then I wanted to know, okay, how I made $1,000 approximately my first month on Fiverr. I was like, okay, how can I make that bigger? And I started reading about marketing and how to promote your services, how to structure a brand, a company in order to grow your revenue. And I read somewhere that you have to have multiple streams of income, but not like in the sense of completely different businesses, but within the same business have different tiers of products you're offering to your customers, so that you can maximize the revenue that you're getting. And I thought, all right, what other writing services I can offer? And then I went on Fiverr and checked what other services similar to mine out there that I could also sell. And I discovered something called copywriting, which is basically how to write persuasively in the written word, right? How to write advertisements, either online or offline, how to write sales pages. And I started creating gigs for all those things. I started offering services for those as well. And then I went into creating resumes. And basically, I created a service for every single writing offering that was on Fiverr at that point. And I had 8 different services. And I was just trying to figure out which one of them would yield the best results. So I could kill the others and just focus on the product that was the best-selling one. And I discovered that copywriting would get me 90% of my orders after my second month on the platform, and then the rest of 10% would consist of article writing, which was the thing I began with, and 2% maybe would be other little things. So I killed those other little things that weren't performing. I didn't kill article writing, but I went all in on copywriting. So that was the main thing I was offering. And within that, I learned about specialization and how, well, the key in business when you want to maximize your profits is to find something that's not only in demand, but is also rare. So how can you find something that your competition isn't doing, but it's also in demand? And I noticed a pattern that many of my clients were asking me to write copy for their Amazon listings. So I spotted that little trend, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should separate that, because it happens very often. I should create a new service that's specifically related to copywriting for Amazon listings. So then I would have my article writing service, my copywriting service, and my Amazon listing service. And suddenly, the third month, it was August 2015, it starts booming because of the third service. Amazon listing writing was huge because there was nobody on Fiverr back then offering it. And I just started getting wild traffic and many, many orders. And then 2 months later, I was making $5,000 a month, which was basically what my uncle was making, was a doctor. I was like, my mind was blown. I was blown away. I was making more money at age 19 that I would never gonna make with my university degree after 5 years of studying. Right. And that was only the beginning of it.
Yeah, indeed. It gets even better. So you went from $30 to then $5,000 a month with all these businesses combined. So man, I read up as well. This is also during this time and process that the Fiverr, or company also helped you make your first million.
Yeah. So those were the first few months I was making little money, and then there was a period of a few more months where I was stuck at the range of 5,000, 6,000 a month. Didn't know how to grow it further than that. And I tried increasing my prices, which worked, and it boosted my revenue by 10 to 20%. But there was a point where you couldn't increase your prices anymore, or you would start losing customers. So I had maximized demand. I had also maximized my time. I was working 10 to 14 hours a day. I was heading to burnout, and I didn't have any more time to give. I needed to sleep. So I came to the conclusion that the only way to keep this thing going and make it bigger is to basically clone myself. I had to replicate what I was doing, and I hired my first employee. I found a friend whose English was quite good, and I started teaching him how to write copy, how to create listings for customers. And basically, he took over the fulfillment part of the business, and I would do the customer generation and customer service. And that freed up loads of my time. I went from working 14 hours a day to just working 1 or 2 hours, just sorting through client messages, making sure all their needs were met, and just forwarding all the orders to my fulfillment guy, and he would write the copy, send it back to me, and I would give it to the clients. So that was the next phase that the business started scaling, and it went from 5K a month to about 10 by having one employee. And then I started hiring more and more and more, and just repeated the same process up to making $100,000 a month a few months later.
Gotcha. No, that's amazing, man. Honestly, so when did it come to about when you decided to transition from this to now get into e-commerce and consulting, you know, to growing it to be one of the most largest firms in the world, right?
All right. So it was kind of inevitable, because I was writing copy for all those Amazon sellers. Many of them had big brands selling millions of dollars worth of products on Amazon. So they were asking me questions I didn't know the answer to, because I was just a copywriter, and I had a team of copywriters, and they wanted to know how to increase their sales on Amazon, how to rank their products on Amazon, how to research and find new products to sell. And I had no answers to those questions. So I had to find answers to service my clients. So I started researching those topics. I found a mentor on that particular sphere. She was an Amazon seller that was making $1 million a month on Amazon, and I started learning from her. And slowly I started getting the answers to those questions, and I introduced new service to my already paying clientele that was trusting me, that they knew me, they knew I had a good service, they knew I was going to be able to deliver if I said I could. So I created new services for ranking products on Amazon, product research, getting access to their accounts and listing their products on the platform, ranking products, and basically a suite of solutions to help my clients cover all their needs when it comes to selling products on Amazon. And that was how I made my first million. And because of that, I was able to travel to the United States for the first time. I attended a lot of events, seminars, live training, and even was invited to speak on stage at the Amazing Selling Machine Summit in the summer of 2017 in Las Vegas in front of 5,000 Amazon sellers. And that basically was the next domino piece that led to more success. More people learned about me and my service, and then basically from there it just skyrocketed.
Right. Indeed, man, that's big. So it's like, you know, you basically, you say you hired an employee who knew some English or so like that, and then you started to just build more relationships and connect with people. And you said you learned from this this mentor that she was already making $1 million a month from Amazon. So getting people to trust you, like how can you get people to trust you, you know, in the line of work that you're doing or so like that, so that way they can do the same in their business. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Like how to make clients trust you in order to give you their business?
Yeah, like how do you make clients, and also just those that you know, recruiting to be on your team as well, or employing to be on your team as well, letting them know like this is listen, I'm gonna take you to the top, or I'm gonna take you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. All right. I would say it's quite different when it comes to getting employees to trust you, and a little bit different when it comes to getting clients to trust you. It depends a lot on context. So when it comes to clients, because I was leveraging Fiverr's infrastructure, they knew that I wasn't going to rip them off, because Fiverr was the middleman that was connecting us. So they knew that if I couldn't deliver, or if I took their money and didn't meet their needs, they could just tell Fiverr, hey, this guy is not delivering what he's promised. I want my money back. Give me a 1-star review, and basically toss me to the trash can. So I had no other option but to deliver the result they wanted. And as a result of delivering that, I got the credibility from having that order fulfilled and reviewed positively. And when you amass thousands of positive reviews, then it's very easy for new clients to trust you when they see all that social proof working for you. And also the fact that Fiverr is there as a middleman guaranteeing to the client that they are going to get their work delivered or their money back. And that's also pretty reassuring. So it wasn't, the environment was very, like, how to put it? It was quite beneficial. It was like an accelerator. It helped me, as opposed to having my own website, my own platform, and just cold emailing leads and trying to get them to trust me.
Right on. And what would you say, man, thus far in your journey, what has been the biggest challenge for you, and how did you overcome?
Biggest entrepreneurial challenge?
Yes, correct.
If you asked me that a few years ago, I would say there was no challenge really that I couldn't overcome, right? But because I had no other option, man. I was sleeping on that trash mattress and I had to get out of that situation. So there was no challenge that could stand in my way and make me say, okay, I'm going to stop here. But after you make your money and after you start seeing the fruit of your effort and you start eating the fruit and enjoying it, and then you sit back on your chair and relax a little bit, you start traveling a little more, you start going out a little more, you start spending some money, you're living a better life. That's when you're like, okay, so do I still need to do all that work? And you have those thoughts of complacency, those little devils messing with your mind. All right, maybe you should go in Mykonos in August and chill a little bit with work, just leave your employees do it, and yeah, you go and party and you go and travel. After all, you've earned it. So all those things like start sucking the motivation out of you, not in a bad way, but it's kind of natural. Like, you have some results, you're making some money, and you want to enjoy the fruit of your effort. But at the same time, it's quite a challenge to keep going even after you've gotten those results, because what's next? What's next? Right. You know what I mean?
Indeed. So what's some advice, man? Because I have a lot of younger up and coming entrepreneurs listening right now, tuned in from their office, from school, from the gym maybe. What's some advice that Damian will give to them, valuable advice that they can take with them, because they may be feeling stuck at this moment, just like you once was wondering why this wasn't working for you or so like that. And they may just not have that person in their corner to guide them and to mentor them or so. What's some advice you would give to them that that can help them every step of that way or so like that, to help them get to the success they desire to get to?
All right, I would tell them a couple of things. First of all, success in business and in life doesn't come with an expiration date. You don't know when it's gonna come to you. And how long does it take? It takes as long as it takes. It could be 1 month, it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 3 years. It doesn't matter. If you make all the right choices along the way, and you know when you're making all the right choices, because you go to bed feeling fulfilled and you wake up feeling fired up. And if that's not happening, it means that somehow you're faltering, you're making mistakes. And so if you're making all the right choices, and what is money? It's a measure of a man's choices. It's basically a scorecard that's telling you, okay, you've been making the right choices for all that time, and now you're getting rewarded for it. And what I'm trying to say is that
you got it.
Don't attach a definite date by when you want to get to see results from what you're doing, and just keep making the right choices just with blind faith, knowing that in the end, if you've done everything right, it's impossible for it to not work out. It's just impossible. I mean, you wake up every day, you read a book for an hour a day, and you learn new information, You study successful businessmen, you learn from mentors, you watch videos, you work on your business, you don't waste any time. You don't hang out with losers, you don't yeah, that's important too.
Yeah,
Your environments and your friends affect your life. You're the sum of the five you're the sum of the five people that are closest to you. So all those things matters. And if you do everything right, how is it possible for everything to go wrong?
Absolutely. I love that, man. Thank you. And who was those mentors in your life, man, along your entrepreneurial journey or so like that? People you came across and you just, man, you knew as soon as you met or got to connect with them that these guys, it's going to be a lifelong friendship, a lifelong relationship that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your life.
So the first man that taught me about digital business and entrepreneurship was a man called Victor Pride. He had a website called Bold and Determined, and that's the site, the website I told you about in the beginning of our conversation. It was a guy who was blogging and making $10,000 a month, traveling the world and doing that from his website. And that was my first influence that sent me down towards that entrepreneurial path. And after I started getting results, after I had my first business and I was making some money, Victor's advice wasn't enough to take me to the next level. So I had to search for, because Victor, he was making good money, but he wasn't making big money. He wasn't a multi-millionaire. He didn't have a private jet he was fueling. So I had to find somebody else who was at the bigger level, 5, 10, 20 years ahead of me, to help me see further down that road. So that was when Tai Lopez and Grant Cardone came into the picture. And I was very impressed by them, by all the things that they had accomplished, the lifestyle they were leading, the companies that they had built. And I started watching their YouTube videos. I got Grant Cardone's books, the 10X Rule, and basically I started delving in that kind of information. And that was another paradigm shift that helped me see bigger, because it's another thing to be thinking about a website, a blog that makes you $10,000 a month, and another thing to think about how you can fuel a jet. Right? It's a totally different level. And with new information, you can get to that new level. It's like a video game. You play in the beginning, and then you have an undeveloped character, and you are fighting those little monsters, and that's enough to get you to do your first few steps. But then you have to upgrade to get to the next level, to fight the boss of to go to the final stage, you know. So you have to find who is the next person that's going to help you upgrade yourself and get there. And for me, that was Tai and Grant. Their combined influence helped me get to that next level.
Absolutely. A wise man once said, man, I wanted to share with you all. They said there is no secrets to success. Having a mentor is the secret to success. Yes, absolutely. My God, Damian. Yeah. So tell us about the moment where you sat down with Grant, and he said that $100,000 a month wasn't anything. And then tell us about the moment as well when you sat down at, I guess you flew in the Ty's event, and it was a couple of you all, you know, and he was just saying that which of the, I think he said the 4 C's, or the one of those importance.
The 4 M's.
4 M's. There you go. Which, you know, which you'll remove or so like that. Just tell us about those moments. I don't want to spoil it for the people. So tell us about that moment of sitting down with Grant Cardone, and then tell us about the moment of sitting down with Ty, and what came up big for you that you can, you know, can share right now.
All right. So I went to meet Ty at a point where I had made my first million, and then my income at that point was about $100,000 a month that I had at my disposal to spend however I liked. So I went to Ty with a dilemma, and I wanted to know, should you scale and just work relentlessly to just take your income a level higher and maybe get to making $1 million a month? Or should you stay where you are and use those resources to enjoy and live your life? And Ty didn't know what to tell me, so he gave me a test so I could figure out on my own. So he basically gave me 4 criteria. He called that the 4 M's system, and it's money, it's mating, and the last 2, one of them has to do with status, and the other one has to do with traveling, but I don't remember the M words for them. Anyway, so he had you prioritize those things: money, mating, status, and lifestyle, and traveling, basically.
Movement and master.
Yeah, right. Movement and master, right.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to discover for myself which of those things was more important for me. And the way I ranked them, money was not at the top of my head. I basically wanted movement more than anything else. And secondly came mastery and status. I wanted to grow my personal brand, and then was money and mating. So he was like, you don't need to scale. You're already at the financial level where you're living a great life. You're at the top 99.999% in your country. You don't need to scale. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't wreck it. Don't destroy it. Don't just wake up one morning and just fuck it all up just because you, for whatever reason. Just maintain it and just live your life. And then I was like, okay, sounds like a good answer. I was pretty happy that day. And then I go to Grant a month later, and I ask him the same kind of questions. And he was like, scale, scale, scale. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Ty said the complete opposite thing. And he's like, no, you have to scale. If you don't scale, you die. You will lose it all if you don't scale. You have to scale. There is no other option. Look at what happened to Greece. Greece didn't scale, and look at what happened to them. And I was like, okay, he has a point. And he was like, Damian, if you make $100,000 a month, you're broke. And I was like, what are you talking about? Did I hear that right? I couldn't believe in my ears. And for a moment, I was a little bit, let's say, offended. I was like, come on, man, I'm 21 years old. I'm making all that money. I'm living the life. How are you saying that? It's nothing. And then I quickly realized that all Grant was trying to do was to make me see the bigger picture. And he realized that I had potential for more than that. So he tried to tease me and pressure me that way in order to go after more.
Right on. And after leaving those 2 meetings, what came up for you big?
Yeah.
What came up for you big or so? Yeah, what came up for you after leaving those meetings with those? Like what like happened now in your life? Like what happened? What came up different, or something big came upon? Maybe I don't know. Maybe you made an extra $1 million or something from one of the businesses or so like that.
Okay, immediately after the Grant meeting, what came was absolute confusion. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life.
Right.
And I was in that state for probably a year.
Yeah.
Did
it humble you though? Because you knew what it was to be at 0. You knew what it was to be at 30 to 15,000 and continuing to incline, but still going through some roadblocks, right? But it had to humble you in some way where he's like, 100,000 a month ain't nothing. Then Ty like, man, 2 different minds, and it's still helping you. Yeah, so I think that's amazing, man, and thank you for sharing that, man. Shout out to those 2 individuals, man, as well. I think you was about to share about what came up for you after the Ty meeting.
I believe that they were both right and wrong at the same time.
Okay.
So I was very confused after I received all that conflicting advice. I didn't know what to do. And for a few months, I just traveled the world contemplating it. I went to Las Vegas, I went to Mykonos, Cyprus, and a few other places. And I mostly followed Ty's advice for the most part. I just maintained what I had, made sure that it didn't collapse, and enjoyed my life. And I wanted to see how that felt. And it was very good for a while. But then I started thinking about Grant's perspective more. And I'm like, okay, if I keep living like that, it's a good life, but am I truly absolutely fulfilled with it? Have I reached the peak of my potential? Is there really more that I can do? And I realized that I was only in the beginning of my journey, and I had climbed a very small hill, but there was a mountain there waiting for me in order to get to the next peak, to the next level. And I realized that I had to shift my direction and do what Grant said and scale. But I wanted to do it in the most efficient way, like I said before, minimum for the maximum. So I started thinking, what are the businesses that I'm gonna do that I can get into, which will be the most enjoyable to me, so I can get to enjoy my life and have movement and freedom and status, so that I can feel the part of the equation that Ty talked about, whilst also scaling and getting to the $1 million a month level, so that I could combine those approaches. And I came to the conclusion that my old business, my consulting firm, doing copywriting and Amazon listings for clients, yes, it was making money, but it wasn't the most fulfilling thing in the world. So I decided to shut it down and go take all the money I had and get into new ventures.
All right. So what was those new ventures for you? Those new ventures for you, man. And what would you say thus far, what has been the best investment you've made, man? Just or so like that. So take us through that.
All right. So because I started my YouTube channel at the time that I visited Grant and Ty, I had to hire a professional videographer to travel with me everywhere I went and to film everything. So I got into that part of video lifestyle production. And as a result, I started a video production company that focuses on luxury lifestyle productions. And basically that's all the photos and videos and lifestyle videos you see on my YouTube and my Instagram. And that was one business that I did. But on the one hand, just having that expense of all those travels and the videographer wasn't going to pay the bills. So I started taking clients on the side and leveraging all the knowledge that I had accumulated from my Fiverr experience in order to get clients for that business. So I could not only travel the world and live that life, but at the same time get paid for it. So whenever we would go to a new place, let's say we'd go to Mykonos this summer to live at a luxury seafront villa and live a good life in Mykonos, we would come into contact with the owner and agree to negotiate our stay to be free or even get paid to stay at their villa. But in exchange, we would make a promotional lifestyle video for them so that they could use it to bring more guests in after we left. So we would start doing those agreements with high-end venues, with villas, villa and mansion owners, with clubs, with restaurants, with hotels, and basically we get paid to travel around the world and film the good life.
That's amazing, man. I love that, man. So, you know, I was watching one of your on your YouTube series, and it was I think it was probably a moment for you. But one thing about you, you learn to just keep going no matter what's in your way, man. Like it's really the ultimate entrepreneur in the most humblest way. So I guess you was traveling and you had a few friends and business partners with you, and y'all was on your way to Miami, and I guess one of you guys' reservations got canceled.
Oh yeah.
And then another reservation got canceled. And another reservation after that got canceled. And there was lots of money that was lost. And in this video, you was just trying to find the solution. So take us back in that moment when all that happened, and what did you learn from that? So those that's listening right now can see what you lose that you can also gain much more from.
Yep. So it was September 2018, and we traveled to Miami in order to meet a friend of ours, my videographer and I. We were with him in Mykonos the summer before and had an amazing time. So we arranged to meet again in Miami and basically have some good times there. And we arrived in Miami. We had booked a massive penthouse with an infinity pool at the top of a skyscraper. It was like incredible. And the moment that we arrived, we had an Uber take us to the penthouse address. And I'm trying to find where the person that was supposed to give us a key were. He was nowhere to be found. And I log into my Airbnb app. I find the reservation and I suddenly see that it's canceled. And it's 10 p.m. We're in Miami after like a 14-hour flight from Greece. We have nowhere to go. We take our suitcases and step into a McDonald's, get something to eat, and try and find a new place to stay at. We didn't want to stay at a hotel because we were expecting guests. We had our friend flying from New York. We also had some female models that were gonna come film with us. So we were expecting a lot of people and couldn't go to a hotel. We wanted a big place to stay at. The penthouse we had booked had like 4 or 5 bedrooms, huge living room. It was 2-floor penthouse. You had a massive balcony with the infinity pool. So we needed something big as a replacement. And we find a castle in Florida. We find a castle. I'm like, it's $5,000 a night. I mean, is it worth it for a week? Spend $35,000 for the castle? I'm like, okay, we are here to film. We're gonna get paid from it anyway. It's for the YouTube channel, so people are gonna see. They're gonna get inspired. So okay, let's book the castle. And we booked the castle while sitting in the McDonald's. And basically, I had about $10,000 to $15,000 on hold from the previous reservation, and another 35 from the castle, until like 50K on hold from Airbnb. We booked the castle. After an hour, they contact us and they're like, we cannot give you the castle. It was some kind of manager who was managing the guests, and he's like, we cannot give you the castle. I cannot come in contact with the owner. He's out of Miami. We have to give you one of our other villas. Let me send you the links, check it out. And I'm like, no, I don't want any other house. I want the castle. Because at that point, I had already created the picture in my mind that I was gonna go to that massive castle with all the girls and my friends and have a good time and film. And I didn't want to go somewhere else. They were trying to shove another option down our throat, and it wasn't even that good. So eventually we were forced to go to a hotel for that night because we couldn't find a solution. And the next day we have to search for a new mansion to stay at. But I have $50,000 on hold on my card, and I'm like, how expensive is this trip gonna get? So I find another mansion and we book that. Everything is all right. We go there, we move in, and basically that was the end of that whole agony. But the point I tried to make in that video where I shared that story was that when you go on a vacation, if you don't have the financial freedom to say fuck you when those difficulties arise, what are you gonna do? I mean, what was somebody gonna do if they went to Miami from Greece and it was just the only money they had saved up for a year to go on that vacation, and suddenly they had their reservation canceled and all the money on hold, and you cannot go anywhere? What are you going to do? If it was me, 2 years ago when I was broke and it was the only money I had for that vacation, I was just gonna, I don't know, end up on the streets, go to a shitty motel and just have my vacation ruined. That's what money does for you. I mean, people say that it can't buy happiness, but when it gives you so many options and it gets you out of all the difficult situations that you can encounter, I mean, it can make you pretty happy.
Hey man, that's a story right there, man. Honestly, I was watching, I just watched it again. I'm like, man, this guy just found a solution, you know, and it didn't happen overnight. As you just shared it all on here. That's amazing, man. So I wanted to ask, man, what does now at the point of your life and the point of your career you're in right now, what does freedom and success really mean to Damian? What does it mean to you right now? And how do you try to use it to serve others or help those around you to remain humble and just continue to keep staying grounded, I guess? You know, like what does that mean to you at this moment? That
So as you grow up, you have a lot of desires, a lot of dreams, things that you want to do. You imagine how your future is going to be, and then you end up being 18 years old, and the school system, society, your parents, and everybody has beaten the shit out of you, and basically you have sacrificed all those things that you want to do when you were a child and you had that wild imagination running. And you have to sacrifice all those things you wanted to do in order to do something that's maybe safer or the smart thing to do, or something that's gonna be more societally approved. And you repress a part of yourself, that childish energy, all those desires you had while you were growing up, in order to do what your parents want you to do, what the world wants you to do. And in my opinion, money gives you back the power to reclaim all those lost dreams and desires you had growing up. And not only that, it affords you the power to reclaim them for the people in your life that matter to you. It gives you the power to retire your parents. It gives you the power to give jobs to people you grew up with, to old friends, to people who are close to you. The more resources that you have, the more people you can affect, and starting from your close circle and then expanding outwards.
Absolutely. I also read up, man, you said that a lot of money creates pain, and pain is the potion of growth.
Absolutely. Pain is a portion of growth, and I would not be where I am today had I not gone through some painful situations early in my life. Sleeping on that mattress from the trash, living in the dorm room that the university gave me, which had cockroaches, and it didn't even have a bathroom. I had to use public toilets. I had to eat at the dining hall, get shitty free food, and all those things at that point that I were experiencing them were painful, were embarrassing, were humiliating. I felt disadvantaged, I felt angry, but in retrospect, they gave me the power to do something with my life. And as opposed to friends of mine who back then were more comfortable than me, they didn't have anything inside them to fuel that fire to do something with their lives.
Indeed. And what drives you now, Dame? Like, man, you live in a life, you know, luxury, the cars, the women, but what is it that people don't see?
Right now, my main motivator is to retire my family completely. I don't want my parents to work another day in their lives unless they're doing something that they want to do. So I want to finance their own dreams, their own businesses, and help them live their last 20, 30, 40, whatever years the way they please, without having a boss, without having a government to tell them what to do. So that's the main thing. And beyond that, like I said before, pain is a portion of growth, and when there is absence of pain in your life because you're living in relative comfort, sometimes you may have to force yourself into some painful situations. You have to welcome stress, and you have to actually chase stress, because stress is what pushes you and creates growth in your life. So I strive on my own to do things that I don't want to do, things that are difficult, starting from little things like not eating that ice cream in the afternoon when I want it, or eating pizza at night, or even showering with cold water when I just want to fill the bathtub and just have a warm bath. It starts from the little things, and then it extends to even bigger decisions, like maybe invest like a huge sum of money, 80-90% of your net worth on that one venture, and make it work. Because if you don't, you're gonna go from living like a king to living like a beggar, like what Elon Musk did when he sold PayPal for like 250 million or something, somewhere around that range. And he took all the money and he invested in SpaceX, Solar City, and Tesla. He started those three companies with all the money he got paid from the sale of PayPal. And by his own admission, he didn't even have money to pay rent. He had to live at a friend's place. So you have to take those kinds of risks in order to find yourselves in stressful situations by design, in order to push you to the next level.
Absolutely. I love how in the beginning I was a little, I'm gonna be honest here, and how things are now in flow, man. That's what I love about this, man. Honestly, my guy Damian, man, is an incredible individual. Listen, this is what I do each and every interview, y'all. I want to take some time to show some gratitude towards him, man. Honestly, it's our first conversation, man, and I'm grateful and thankful to be able to be connected with this humble individual, not because he's a multi-millionaire, but because he's himself, and he came from humble beginnings to get to that level, to being able to teach us all and show us the ropes, man. Honestly, he's been nothing but persistent throughout this process and this journey. And we gotta not only respect that, but we gotta admire. And I want to give him his roses while he's here right now, man. I'm in Tampa, Florida. He's in Greece. And I think it's amazing for us to connect like this and things of that nature, to being able to share this journey, share the hardships that you went through and how he overcame, and giving it to you guys up and tight, and that's what it's about, guys. So just know that there's no silver spoon on nobody's table. You got to pick that up, and you got to put something on your plate. You got to do that yourself, but it's also some people that may truly believe you to help you every step of the way. So dang, man, I appreciate you, and I thank you, man, for really being here with me, man. Honestly,
Thank you, Rel, for having me on your podcast, man. It's been an honor.
My man, absolutely. We ain't finished just yet, man. Few more minutes. Dang. So right now in this time of your life, man, and you got so many people that look up to you, and so many people may, oh man, he thinks he's all that, but you got that one young kid that follow you on YouTube, subscribe to your channel, that maybe maybe subscribe to your websites, or maybe one of your clients / students, you name it. This younger teen out in Greece. You may not met him, but he's met you. And you had to write him a letter. What would that letter be like, man? What would you say to that younger teen kid that's truly inspired by your movement and your mission?
All right. I would tell him that you have to think about what you desire in life and blaze your own path, no matter what others have told you that you should be doing with your life. Don't walk on that predetermined road that others told you you should be walking on. And if there isn't a road for what you want to do, just make it yourself and just go your own way to do what you want to do. And like I said before, if you make all the right choices and you wake up in the morning fired up and you go to the bed to sleep fulfilled every night with what you've done during the day, there is nothing that can stop you. There is nothing that can stand in your way, no obstacle so big as as to slow you down or make you want to give up. If you do all the right things and you know what these things are, you know, everybody knows what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. So blaze your own path and don't follow the predetermined one that others created for you.
Absolutely. Beautiful, man. And you know, what's the main focus at this moment right now? You know, it's COVID-19 going on, so you know, it's not too much traveling at this moment, right?
Exactly, yeah. And since the pandemic outbreak, I've been diversifying my portfolio and investing a lot in Forex investments. So I have that going on. That's been my main focus for the past few months. We've been getting amazing returns, and it's actually made me consider, because like I said before, minimum for the maximum. How can I get the best possible result with the most efficient, least wasteful action? And Forex, basically, when you put your money to work for you, it just produces the same result for me now that it took me 1.5 years to create for my first business, after almost 600 days of day in and day out, 14-hour days working at it with pure focus and dedication. And yeah, that's been my focus for the past few months.
So you will actually give some advice to some of those who may be thinking about getting into Forex, to say go ahead and do that, because you'll be able to definitely get back more in what you invest in. Or you just think it's
I
the
would
best
say
move to build teams and everything like that too, right?
I would say that, first of all, it's a very difficult thing to do, and you should only do it after you've set up a primary source of income, so that you have the cash flow that you can invest in. Because if you have the cash flow and you just not leveraging it, like Grant Cardone says, take your cash and make it do something, where you don't just let it sit in a bank account where the bank is profiting off of it. You have to take it and make those dollar bills generate some baby bills. But if you don't have that first primary source of income, which in my opinion, the best way to create it is to start a digital business. If you don't have that, then you cannot get into any kind of investment, whether it's Forex, whether it's real estate or something else. You need that cash flowing business first.
Absolutely. And how do you maintain a success, man? You know, like how do you maintain a success?
Because it's something extremely difficult to learn on your own. It takes years, if not decades, to master technical and fundamental analysis, learn how to read the charts, candlestick patterns, make predictions. You either have to find somebody who's at a very high level who can teach you, or somebody who's at a very high level that you can copy. And I have my own team in New York City who I'm copying, and I'm basically profiting off of borrowing their already developed brain and knowledge.
Right. I know you did a lot of traveling as well, man. Like you've traveled over the country. I think that's amazing. Because for those who listening, I think it's best for us to travel, get out of our comfort zones, and you know, see new places, meet new people, make new connections. Dame, out of all the places you've been to, man, what's that one go-to, that one specific place you like to go have fun, a place you like to have good meetings, great events, just an all-fulfilled place for you?
A place that I've already been to, or one that I haven't
that you've been to, that you've been to.
That I've been to. I would say California was
I was about to say
one
LA,
of the best.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like the weather in LA.
Besides the weather, what else though? What else like just, I don't know, touches the soul and everything of that nature, man. It's like I'm a probably get me a home in there, you know, in LA sometime if you may not have one already out there in California.
I don't know. I felt euphoria while being there. It was because it was my first time, but the whole vibe of the place, the people, it was just so different from everything else I've experienced.
Yeah, absolutely.
I cannot really explain it.
It's all
You know,
good.
it's just a feeling you get.
Right. Indeed. And nowadays, man, we in 2020 right now. What do you want to see much more from entrepreneurs that you don't really see? You know, that you may see on social media, but you don't see them partaking that same energy in real life.
I would probably want to see more high level, very successful entrepreneurs sharing their secrets and lessons and giving back some of their knowledge to their world. Because if you think about it, you're not going to see Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos writing a book and telling you what they've learned all those years in business. And I mean, why? I mean, leave something behind you for the next generations to follow, something written in paper that can benefit the world. For example, there is a very big Greek entrepreneur, Aristotle Onassis, who was one of the richest Greeks who ever lived. He was a multi-billionaire back in the 1970s. He had a fleet of yachts and homes all around the world. He was very, very rich. And he didn't write a book or something to cement all that knowledge for the next generation. It's just a waste of all that experience and information just lost, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you feel like is missing, man? You've accomplished so much in your life. What do you feel like that one thing you're after right now? You know, I know you said Forex is a focus, but it could be mentally, it could be physically. I know you're big on fitness and boxing and everything too. You know, kickboxing, you name it, man. So, or spiritually, you know, what's that next that you feel like is missing for you in your journey right now?
Honestly, I don't feel like anything is missing. I mean, I like the direction my life is heading at, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Gotcha. Indeed,
Just
man.
maximize everything that I'm already doing.
Right. There's always another level, right? To continue to
Yeah.
keep going up. Absolutely. And what do you enjoy most about the lifestyle right now? Like, what do you enjoy most?
The thing that I enjoy the most is that I can wake up in the morning without worrying about paying my bills or without having anybody to give a report to and tell them, ask ask anybody for permission and just wake up and do my own thing, whatever that is I want to do in a day.
Okay.
And sometimes now, because I've been doing that for so long, I take it for granted. But I try to go back and remember a day when I didn't have that privilege, and just I remind myself of how it felt to had to had to tell my parents everything I was doing, to have to ask them for money, ask them for permission, ask my boss, and it's just a whole different world.
Gotcha. Yeah, it got to be a bittersweet feeling, you know, because you know what it was to really be in poverty or so like that. So I know it's now sometimes you may wake up and be like, am I really here? You know, it may surprise you sometimes, but you worked for it. You did all the right things to get to where you at. So, you know, I really, I'm truly inspired by your mission, man, and by your movement, and I'm continue to root for you. Honestly, we have a little bit more time left. Wanted to ask you, what do you, so now this COVID, my bad, I just had it. So what do you, what is the next step for you? You know, what did you look into in the next few months before the new year?
Mhm. So I'm probably looking at competing in MMA soon. After September, hopefully, if there isn't another COVID wave, because they've been saying that there's going to be a second wave of cases and another quarantine after September. So if that's not happening, I'm gonna train to fight sometime around December, because I've always wanted to compete professionally in kickboxing and MMA. I've wanted that since I was 17 years old, and it was one of those things that everybody told me I shouldn't do because it just wasn't a good career path. So I just back then I had no um, I cannot say I had no will, but I was just very very easily affected by the perception and opinions of others, especially members of my close circle. So if my family said that you shouldn't do that, you should go to university and become a scientist, then I would listen to them blindly and just do it because they are older, they know more, you know. But now I just do my own thing, and I've had that that urge to compete in combat sports ever since I was 17, and I want to do that now.
Okay, that's awesome, man. That's amazing. You got to keep the adrenaline rushing, right? It came back to me. So I wanted to give you some time to have the floor to share something that you haven't shared in an interview before, haven't shared with somebody in a long time. I wanted to give you a few minutes of that time to just share on this platform before we close it out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Something I haven't shared in an interview before was that in my final year of high school, while I was in all that stress of preparing for the Pan-Hellenic exams, Terrell, are you here?
Yeah, I am.
My screen just blacked out, but if you can see me, I think we're good.
Yeah, I can see.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my final year of high school, I was preparing for the Pan-Hellenic exams. It was a very stressful time because I had school in the morning and then I had to go to private classes in the afternoon.
Yeah. Log back on. Fuck, I think it because it's an hour, John. Fuck. Ah, it sucks.